Morgan Stanley have just conducted their 6th annual intern survey. The headline, ICE better than EV and Tesla popularity wanes. Now, just to be clear, this is a survey of interns at Morgan Stanley. A very narrow subset of people with certain preferences and desires. So, let's read. Our summer intern class provides a window on the preferences of a future generation of business leaders and commercial influencers who happen to have decided that the investment banking world is the way for them to start building their career. Just putting that out there. For example, there are a lot of actual business leaders and people who are influencing commercial industries who didn't intern at an investment bank. Tesla's desirability dropped to 11% from 14% year over year behind Mercedes and BMW. Preference for electric vehicles dropped to 15%, with interns preferring internal combustion engine vehicles versus electric vehicles nearly 2-1. By the way, folks, this is a very interesting insight. Just remember, Morgan Stanley, last I heard, think that only 20% of all new vehicles sold in the United States at the end of the decade will be electric. Personally, I find it a little bit embarrassing that supposedly smart people wanting to intern at investment banks would not have realized it makes no sense today to buy an ICE vehicle. But hey, whatever. Maybe they're not buying it for rational reasons. Possibly, in fact, definitely not. Our 6th annual intern survey of around 575 Morgan Stanley North American summer interns shows that tastes and preferences in autos are evolving in ways that may surprise those in the industry. The Tesla cool factor is cooling. By the way, anyone want to take a guess as to why this could be? Spoiler alert, I'll just spoil the story for you. Ready? Because Teslas are no longer the status symbol they once were because they're much more affordable than they previously were. And if you've got a small dick, a small brain, and or you just really want to signal to the world that you're doing really well and super successful and check me out. By the way, not hating, I mean, it works. Tesla doesn't have the same effect it did 4, 5, 6 years ago when everybody knew that if you had a Tesla, you dropped 6 figures on the thing. Now, you can buy a Tesla for less than the average new vehicle price in the US. So clearly, if you're somebody who's purchasing a vehicle, not necessarily for rational reasons, but for status signaling reasons, look at me, look how successful I am, and so on, you just don't get the same bang for buck with the Tesla anymore. They continue. The interns prefer gasoline-powered cars over electric vehicles by nearly 2-1. Tesla further declined as the most desirable brand to 11% versus 14% last year, 19% in 2022, and 30% in 2021. Now, if we were to map Tesla's average transaction price on a vehicle from 2021 to 22 to 23, do you think we might notice a correlation between these intern preferences for a Tesla versus how much you can actually buy a Tesla for? And look, I don't want to dunk on people going into the investment banking world, but I do just want to point something out. It is a very, very special type of person who's willing to enter this industry. There's a lot of dick measuring, efforts to keep up appearances, flexing, status signaling, and so on. The share largely went to Mercedes, 19% versus 20% last year, and BMW, 16% versus 13% last year. Mercedes is a cooler brand than Tesla? Who knew? Now, again, no, sorry. Are they serious? Do they not know why these interns prefer the Mercedes and the BMW? It's purely for status signaling reasons. We just got to be honest here, okay? You're interning at an investment bank, you start your day with a couple of shots of whiskey and a couple of lines, you jump in your BMW, and everybody knows that you're the shit. Tesla doesn't have that same effect anymore because people know you can buy them much more affordably. In everyone's mind, a BMW or Mercedes, you drive one of those, you're doing okay financially. The truth is, though, a lot of people driving these things and paying loans on these things up to their neck, barely making ends meet. But the whole point of that is a signal that you can convey to the world. And it's absolutely true. The more affordable Tesla vehicles become, the less of a status signal they'll be. I think, however, Morgan Stanley seem to be conflating the idea that their summer interns represent young consumers in general. This isn't about being cool. This is about signaling to the world your status in life. The BMW brand, the Mercedes brand, are built on status signaling. The same also true of Audi. That's the whole point. That's why people buy these vehicles. If you want to know cool, talk to kids. Age 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. What is the coolest vehicle brand out there? They're not worried about trying to add a few inches or signal to the world, look, I'm super successful. I got an internship at Morgan Stanley and I'm driving it. They're going to tell you the truth. And believe me, Tesla's going to be at the top of the table by miles. Preference for EVs decreased for a second year, 15% versus 22% last year and 30% in 2022. While combustion preference ticked up to 28% from 23% last year, in line with our increased caution on US EV penetration in the near term. We recently took our 2030 EV penetration forecasts to 20% in the US, down from 25%, and our continuing ICE is nice thesis. Our interns' views stand in sharp contrast to stringent government regulations for EV adoption. Intern caution on the near-term adoption of autonomy aligns with ours. 51% of interns think owning and leasing a car will still be necessary in 2030, up again from 48% last year and 44% in 2023. And 19% of them would not use a robotaxi versus 12% last year. It's strange. Why would you not be willing? In theory, right? If it's safer and more convenient, why would you at least not be willing to use one? It's kind of weird. Despite increased corporate and investor focus on autonomous driving, full autonomy may be farther out than most predict, particularly from a consumer trust standpoint. Let's find out. So let's see, these are the questions and responses. The first question was, what car brand, if any, is most desirable to you? We can see here Tesla declining, so let's have a look here. Mercedes 20%, BMW 16%, Tesla 11%, Audi 11%. Then you've got Jeep at 5%, Lexus at 4%, Rivian 2%, Lucid 1%. Funnily enough, each successive year on this type of a chart, Tesla's going to continue to move further to the right. Because if your intention when purchasing a vehicle is to status signal to the world, you ain't buying the equivalent of a Toyota Camry or Corolla, which is what Teslas will be available for price-wise very soon. If you were to buy/lease a car in the next 5 years, what type of car would it most likely be? Now, this is going to be interesting. Fuck, I nearly choked to death. These absolute morons. What? Oh, God damn it, dude. Man, I thought these interns were supposed to be smart. What the fuck? 38% said hybrid. I'm not sure what their dealers are cutting their... Wait, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know why they think like this. This is strange. This is baffling. Are these interns buying into the hybrids are the future narrative? What the fuck is this? This is stunning. Is this real? 575 respondents, 38% said if they're buying or leasing a car in the next 5 years, it's most likely to be a hybrid. In second place, 28%, an internal combustion engine vehicle. 15% electric. Jesus Christ. Some of these folks are going to be the future analysts covering Tesla. God damn, I can't believe this. Dude, my jaw, I keep having to pick it up off the floor. 38% said a hybrid. Wow. The question asked here, how frequently do you use ride-sharing apps? Only 19% don't typically use ride-sharing apps, of course. I'm sure many of those interns use other things. 29%, 1 to 4 times a month, basically up to once a week. 29%, 5 to 10 times a month. 15%, 11 to 20 times a month. And 8%, more than 20 times a month, near daily. When asked which ride-sharing service do you use the most? Uber crushing it, 84%. Lyft, distant second at 15%. And who cares about the rest? They're rounding errors. Then asked, which robotaxi service would you be most likely to use? Guess who dominates? Tesla, 31%, roughly a third. And if we exclude the 19% who say that they wouldn't use a robotaxi, almost all of which will change their mind fairly soon, that 31% is closer to 40% of the people who would actually use a robotaxi service. That's massive. In second place, Uber and Aurora. Apple, 10%. Alphabet, Waymo, 10%. Cruise, now at 1%. Rest in peace, Cruise. And 9%, yikes. This goes to show how powerful branding and advertising are. 9% said they'd be more likely to use a robotaxi service from a traditional car company like BMW, Toyota, Ford, etc. Bro, stunning. However, despite the fact that Morgan Stanley have falsely concluded that Tesla is losing its cool factor, when we actually ask interns, Morgan Stanley, which robotaxi service would they most likely to be used? Shockingly, Tesla is miles ahead of everyone else. How curious. Asked, when do you expect to see the first fully autonomous cars available as viable public transportation options with no safety drivers? Now remember, in some very small pockets of the United States, they're already available. So you would assume that everyone who's informed would have answered now, as in immediately available. But anyway, over 40% of interns, up from 32% last year, expect to see the first fully autonomous cars in the next 5 years. Another 36% in the next 6 to 10. And 20% must have lied on their applications for the internship because holy fuck, dude. More than 10 years? Yikes. 3% don't think it's even possible. So 9% believe in the next 2 years. I think we've just found the interns who happen to own Tesla shares. 32% believe in the next 3 to 5 years and 36% in the next 6 to 10. And finally, in 2030, do you think that owning/leasing a car will be a necessity? Along the bottom here, we've got the yeses. These are survey results going back to 2019. Funnily enough, the number in 24 was 51%, saying it'll be necessary in 2030. In 2019, just 35%. How curious. The no's in 2019, 43%. Today, 25%. And the don't know and not sure's have remained pretty constant. Some interesting insights here. Most telling of all, the stuff that really counts, autonomy, even based on the very unique slice of humanity that happens to be interning over the summer at Morgan Stanley, they have already won people over. 31%, the biggest by far when asked which robotaxi service they would be most likely to use, irrespective of when it first launches, blah, blah. 31% to Tesla. Next best, Uber/Aurora at 19%, which, by the way, don't have a chance of even launching an autonomous robotaxi service, so rip. Nor does Apple with 10%, so you can scratch that and scratch that. Now, this slice of the pie, the 31%, has now increased to about 65% when we exclude the people that wouldn't use a robotaxi. We're now looking at an insight. And then, of course, there's the 9% of people who thought a traditional car company, they're gone too. So we've got now here 28% gone, that's useless. Apple's gone as well, so that's 38%, which leaves 62% remaining between Alphabet/Waymo, Uber, Aurora, Tesla, and Government Motors. And Tesla is 31%, literally half, 50%. Is this an insight into Tesla's possible future United States robotaxi market share? 50%? I mean, it may well be. Just imagine. And as I mentioned, this is the stuff that counts. Who cares about the vehicles and what interns use to status signal? Who gives a shit about that? Look at this. Absolutely stunning stuff. What was that about the cool factor? Morgan Stanley? You might want to look again. Want more content? Early access? A bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients. Plus, has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. And I haven't missed a daily video in more than 3 years. Must be a coincidence, right? Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. But don't take my word for it. This is what viewers of the channel had to say after trying AG1. I feel like I have a lot more energy since I started on AG1. By the way, viewer, that makes 2 of us. On to the next. Just got my AG1 in the mail. Legit feeling the effects after day 3. This viewer's been taking AG1 for 8 months and says, what an investment. Another. 3 months ago, I started AG1 and have been enjoying the evenness of alertness and energy that lasts the day. I just started the wife on it too. Are you convinced yet? I mean, hey, it's worth trying, right? Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR or I can keep going. There's plenty more to come. This viewer, after about a month on AG1, definitely a lack of fatigue in the afternoon. Pleasant side effect is that my coffee intake has imploded and is almost down to 0. One more? Yeah, why not? I honestly feel younger and will be continuing to use AG1. This stuff really is crazy good. I didn't think it would be, but this stuff is awesome. It really is what everyone is saying. One more? Don't mind if I do. I've just received my 3rd month supply. I've drank it every day. I have so much energy throughout most of the day. I'm productive, started a new business, started socializing, refurbished a boat. It's no coincidence. Thank you for your persistence, your integrity, and your insights. Now look, these are not my words. These are not my testimonials. This is what you guys and girls are saying. Maybe it's 100% placebo effect. But even if that's the case, I think it's money well spent. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. If you're still skeptical, hey, I don't blame you. Everyone on the planet seems to be promoting AG1 now, but guess what? They weren't nearly 3 years ago when I had this to say privately to my Patreon audience before there was a relationship, when I was asked about what I was doing for my health, energy, and so on. Just sharing my genuine, honest thoughts about a product I'd recently discovered that was at the time called Athletic Greens, now AG1. If I could only recommend one supplement to take, Athletic Greens, and I'm not getting paid to say this, Athletic Greens is a fucking game changer. I cannot believe how effective this is. No longer having a lack of energy in the afternoons. It's fucking amazing. There's only one thing to recommend, seriously. Try Athletic Greens. You won't go back. So obviously, just like Elon Musk is a liar, a fraud, a con man, a scammer, a fake engineer, and Tesla's going bankrupt, you shouldn't trust that guy from about 3 years ago who, without any financial incentive, was promoting this product to his audience on Patreon when they were asking about health and what he's doing for supplements. Because obviously, there was some other reason he recommended that, obviously. Not sure what it was, but don't trust that guy. And all the testimonials, like my mental game has improved with AG1. I feel better than ever. I'm so impressed I've bought it for both my parents. I feel more focused and have better digestion. Incredible difference. No more afternoon fatigue. It's relieved gut issues. These are all just obviously fake testimonials from fake people. Right? Wrong. Just try it. unless you hate yourself. If you hate yourself and you don't even want to risk possibly feeling better, this is not for you. But for everyone else, what's the worst that could happen? Try it for a month. See how you feel. It's a no-brainer. Just click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR. You'll get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 and K2 plus 5 travel packs. And you'll take the colossal risk that maybe you might have a similar experience to some of the people whose testimonials we've read in this video.